damage.
No, so this is something I totally
please be
wasn't
aware
aware.
of your own well-being, because ultimately you reported fit when you weren't fit.
Yeah, because I didn't consider it as not being fit, it's just a lost feeling.
But
So no lost feelings at all.
We're clear. Lost
So
feelings.
if someone is waiting half a year for not half a year, but a month or two for an appointment, are they not fit to fly at all during these 2 months?
I don't know any dentist that would make you wait for a month or 2 months for a filling. I appreciate there are situations when there are wait lists.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, especially NHS. I'm fortunate that I pay privately for my dental care, but there are still wait lists all the same. There may be an occasion when you're flying and you get an appointment and you've got a flight. Your health takes precedence. So you have to phone in sick for that flight to ensure that you are fit to fly, fit to be, fit for yourself, fit to get to work, fit to be able to get home from work. It's all about your well-being here, Bartek. So I don't know any dentists that wait that long, but I'm
yeah,
sure.
something I was totally not aware of, that lost feeling is something that might affect you at all, let's say.
So there's just
But
have cautions about things. Obviously, you need to make sure that you're looking after yourself, Bartek.
I'm really surprised that it only comes out after 3 or 4 months after they had this incident, because
Of having the filling put in.
yeah, and in Prague, as you know, which was done by the medical company British Airways is working
So your
with.
filling in Prague has now come out. Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, it has as well, but this is not what I was saying. So
Okay.
basically, I did call the emergency line, whatever we call it, global lifeline. Yeah. They did have an interview with me. I did put this information together for them, saying that the filling has come out today. The tooth unfortunately started to swell on the flight. I wanted to sort it out at home later on, but because the pain is quite strong, I would really need to do it straight away. I came to the dentist. The dentist did the exit interview, again exactly the same thing with the company. So I'm really surprised that it only comes around now that it had in fact not been allowed. But they didn't even inform you about the fact that...
Oh, you mean Global Life haven't been in touch with us?
They're not. I don't think they're allowed to cross over. Like, for example, when people are unwell, we don't have any documents of what's
All
wrong
they do
with
is
them,
just
because
say you're clear to fly.
that's the only information we get from them, and that's actually the only note that's on CMS is fit to fly within such and such position back on BA. So Global Lifeline don't give us any information. That was purely from your vlog, and I was concerned for your well-being, especially. My worst fear is being stuck anywhere not at home when I'm not well. I just want to be at home when I'm not well. I don't want to be stuck in a foreign country somewhere. That's, everyone's very different. Maybe if I was in Jamaica, maybe. But so that came up from your vlog, Bartek, which is why I wanted to clear it with you, so that you are aware moving forward that you need to be paying attention to your own well-being, Bartek. This is what we're asking of you. When you sign in fit, that you are 100% fit and you are 100% happy. And if you do have any questions, if you do have reservations, if you're not sure about something, this is why we have crew control to ring and speak and ask and just say, I feel completely fine, but this has happened, or could you please let me know, because they do pretty much have the answers all the time as well. And obviously when it comes to your health and well-being, we will always take your health and well-being first. Planes will still go without us.
Your health comes first.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know about that. Thank you for pointing it out.
Okay. Perfect. I'm going through all of that. How have you got any other questions that you'd like to ask, Bartek?
So obviously this blog, I think we did have some contrasting information here.
Yes.
Whilst I was waiting for an answer for you, after I realised my probation will be extended, I did email Carlo as well about the blog, to which he has said that, given the fact that it has some tags, there are some tags like British Airways, not just British Airways, they put some tags to most of the UK airlines there. He did say that it could be inferred that I'm working for British Airways, and he would question the content of some of the posts that I was making. So during that time, 31st of January at night, I did remove all the taglines. I did amend the pictures so that they did not show the logo of the company. Joe has gotten back to me a day later, actually, on the 1st of February, to say that the corporate security had reviewed the blog, and except for 2 very minor issues, actually 1, because the other one I clarified with you, everything was fine. To which I did I think, email you quite a few times as well to clarify whether I need to seek anyone's permission, such as Director of Communications, before I publish anything in relation to British Airways.
I think you're going from different guidelines. There's a difference as well here. So when you're going for the Director of Communications and their approval, British Airways does not say and cannot say that you cannot post anything about British Airways. You can post whatever you liked. However, if it brought the company into disrepute, then you're liable for gross misconduct. So what we are saying to you and what we say is when we put all the social media guidelines and all the e.g. Applicable rules and policies down for you, here's the information. Please work within these guidelines. If you choose to use social media and choose to advertise that you work for British Airways, be it in name badge, be it in actually writing British Airways, be it in the ties, because it's a very clear uniform that people can see. Be aware of what you're writing. Don't write anything that can be used or taken in a manner which is not intended. So we're saying to you basically, if you want to use it, that's fine. Just be aware of what you're writing. There isn't anybody that can check it for you, Bartek, and go through line by line and check all of your updates, unfortunately, because all of our departments are very busy. And as you can imagine, practically everyone uses social media in the world, and I'm sure most people at British Airways use social media, so that would be a lot of social media for them to be checking. However, if you're proactively wanting to put things on there, be aware of what you're writing and it doesn't bring the company in disrepute, and that's why they give you the guidelines to follow and to look through.
So if there is anything potentially controversial that might be misinterpreted, whose permission should I seek, or is there anyone at all that I might need to go to and say, take a look at that?
You've got our colleague guide social media section. So that's all black and white, am I right in saying that, Joe?
Yeah, so Bartek is referring to another point which basically says if you're advertising anything to do with British Airways.
Because this is what Carlos said to me, that, it's not the IBM, it's not your line manager that gives approval for anything written on a blog, that it should be done by the Director of Communications, whereas information from Joe says that actually...
It's basically in the Our Colleague Guide, section 13, which says about it and goes into it, and then there's another section which goes in and says you're supposed to contact the Director of Communications for things, but
I mean, we can certainly find out the email address for you.
Yeah.
Going forward.
I don't know that you will get the clarification that you still seek, though, Bartek, to be honest. Because
I mean, if Carlo's issued that information, there's no reason you can't get it.
It's one of those... I'm sure we can get the email, but it's one of those things where, unfortunately, with social media, they don't have time to check everything. So it's usually not until something they've done wrong.
Well, exactly, which is obviously not what we want. As I'm sure you understand, I wouldn't really like to be in a position where my probation is further questioned just because...
If your intentions are true, Bartek, and there's nothing on there which can shine a bad light onto the company or yourself or the job that you're doing, then obviously you're going into it, you're reading all the guidelines, you're going through all the social media, the Our Colleague Guide, you're aware of everything. I don't even know who the Director of Communications is, because all it says in there is Director of Communications.
I would just say going forward, as long as you're very mindful of what you put on, there'd be no reason to communicate with them anyway, because you wouldn't have anything to worry about in terms of what you've put on there, as long as you're mindful of not putting the company into disrepute.
Yeah, I think what I'm referring to here is that our colleague guide says that any articles published online need to be approved by the Director of Communications. So I was wondering whether articles published on blog, which is an online means of communication, are included in this spectrum.
Okay. That's something we can take away from the meeting, Joe, isn't it?
Yeah. Because I've gone round and round in circles, and this is why Bartek, it's taken a while to get back to you, because I've been passed from several different departments to get several different answers. So everyone keeps coming back saying as long as you follow Our Colleague guidelines.
But it's arbitrary.
That's company policy. So me and Joe can't do anything about that.
It's basically putting the onus on you to, if you choose to use it, they're saying if you choose to use social media, then, and if you choose to write about British Airways, about work, about cabin crew, anything that could be related to, it is a choice that you're making, and by making that choice, unless you necessarily want to shine the company in a bad light and bring the company in disrepute, just be aware of what you're writing. And as an adult, you writing it, you're making that choice to be aware of it, and that's